And so I just outlined and onto the wood, and then carved it out with Dremel to create the hollow, and then put the stone in. All that sounds very easy. Bob has been in my shop and we've done it together, and it's quite tedious. It takes a lot of time. I guess I would be willing to do a demo, but it's one of those things that is not terribly interesting, you know, because it's not entertaining is what I'm suggesting. I could do the ring, which is just you carve it with your parting tool to create this. That's easy peasy. And then putting the stone in. And so I'm now working on another piece, and my Christmas ornaments this year I'm going to, for a disc, 3-inch disc, my plan is to put holly leaf with red berries. So we got a green stone, green colored stone like this. Actually the stone is the same, it's clear. I mean that's colorless. And then you have a powder that's a color that goes around it. So it can be whatever color you have that powdered stone in, which you can purchase. I guess you can make it. But anyway, so that'll be a green holly leaf and then red berries. And then my plan is to make it rather thick. So it'll be like 1/4 of an inch thick. And then, so you inlay it on one side, then you turn it over and sand off the back, and now it's on both sides. So you can, it becomes translucent, so you can see.
It's going to go all the way in 2 years. That's that last one at Chicago.
You were with me on that? I know Bob was. You too?
Yeah.
Oh, did you try it ever?
I have not. I got a kit, but I haven't tried it.
Oh, come on over. I'll show you how. I'll show you the tricks. And then we had to make a box. So this is.
Wait a minute. You didn't have to make a box. You did.
I do what I'm told.
Yeah.
What can I say? My wife says jump. I say how high. Terry says jump. I say how high.
How old is that box?
How old is the
box?
box?
Or is that an old box?
No, I just made it.
Oh, you just made it up.
Yeah. But this is, of course, heavily spalted maple. And in fact, it was so heavily spalted, it was basically rotten, is what it was. And so I tried that wood hardener stuff that we, Pentacryl. Is that, am I pronouncing Katie right? You're supposed to laugh. Anyway, that didn't do enough. And it started the process, but it didn't do enough, so I ended up having to use a lot of thin super glue also. And it came out. I mean, it's okay, but I don't know. It got very frustrating when you're. I mean, I think it's pretty, but it just a lot of work when it's that heavily spalted. It
tap on that, and it drives the iron back up. So you just feel for it, and then you just tap it down, feel for it, tap it up, set the wedge. Cool. And then the hammer, this is lignum vitae. Head. And then this is
Jamaican threads?
that's just tap. That's just tap. Yeah. And then this is the olive wood. And this is a quarter 20 exit bolt. But if you ever try turning brass on the lathe, it turns about like this lignum. It just turns like a really hard wood. And your tools really don't, they last about the same. So I guess I figured this qualified for
shop and who came over and we were doing the, was it you, Dave, that no, it was Dick. He came over and we were doing spirals and stuff. So the scrap wood that was down there, I made me a lidded box out of it. And then I said, well, that's not good enough, so then I made a couple more. This is cherry, and this was butternut, just a couple lidded boxes. I'm going to open up a can of worms, and that is, when you pulled yours, you got a nice tight fit. Right?
Well, yeah, it's
well,
it's a little too tight.
Here's
try that other one. Yeah. Now, when you put that lid back on, do you feel the air pressure inside?
Yes. Yes.
Put it on real slow. Can you feel the air pressure?
Yes. So here's my question. We wood turners love this. I mean, this shows that you did a great job. But if it's sitting on a table and somebody wants to look inside of it and the lid doesn't come off, you know, I'm trying to create a conversation. It's not which is better, but you know, it's all in how you want to do it. Of course, most of the time we get loose fitting lids, but my experience is that the loose fitting ones, if a woman comes up and picks this up, and if it doesn't open up, it's picked up like this, and it gets set back down until they find one that opens up. You know, depending on what they're going to put into it. Like if they're going to use paper clips in it or something, they don't want something like this. Okay? If they're going to have keepsakes or something, then they want a tight fitting lid. So I guess it all depends upon, you know, who you're making it for and what the application is.
basic. So Sunday I went home, so I got to at least remember what we did. Just not too bad for my first attempt at home by myself. So nothing fancy, but learning experience.
I'll say, good job.
Can't see it from there, I guess. And this one, turn that one, and then gonna be a spiral. This is butternut. It's very light.
Elk. This is not Mississippi. This is wall, which is too bad, but spotted maple at the top. This I learned from Mel. And this is just box elder.
Very nice.
But I found he fits better for the desert.
Oh, yeah.
Been sitting around turned for probably 6 months. I just finally got around to putting some finish on it. A little piece of cedar. That soft stuff's kind of a pain to try and not leave tear out in. But, I think I did more sand in the turn maybe.
Use one of these little cubes that's drilled out, and we just had a top and a bottom to it. Well, I used the same idea for a hobby fuel for this cross. Material wise, this is maple, and the other stuff, like I said last time when I had that ornament in here, I got a lot of real unusual woods from ex-member Mark Titan. And so I've been using those for color. I'm not sure what I'm using wood-wise, but that's what happened here. This walnut old, it's from the same piece of wood. You can see the grain lines up pretty good, except with the curve cut it apart. This rattles. This is bad. It rattles. But I thought I'd bring it in because it is a little bit unusual. It's very old. And it's so old that if you took this off, you can see the screws I use for attaching the bottom to the faceplate. And my mother asked me to make this. She wanted this little blow that starts up and she moved the top. The Jewish menorah is sort of an experiment. I'm not sure about the menorahs except the 7 and 9 candle. And they use it in the celebration of Hanukkah in December. And these pieces that were glued together on the lathe on the faceplate and turned these pieces apart and then rounded them over. And if I ever made another one, I would use a lathe. I just plunged it out and round over.
Boxes, trying to make it pins. Sorry. So I just went around the house and collected some I made years ago. There's several here. Yeah, you talk about thread. Just take a jar of it, glue a piece of wood on it. Thread. I did several of these. I do a lot of inlay. I've done
time I've ever gotten a perfect lid fit. This is the one. So, and this had loose lid, and I will tell you right now, if you're ever going to make lidded boxes and you're ever going to sell them, make a loose lid. Because the only people that care about having a snug lid are other wood turners. The general public does not want a snug lid. So if you're going to show them or something, do a loose lid. So this is Norway maple burl. It's just one of my winged vessels, a little tiny version of a winged vessel.
I have to tell you a little background here. This bottom one's a little strange if any of you looked at it. I don't know if any of you have made the segmented bowls where you start out with pieces of wood that's about 8 or 10 inches, depending on the size bowl you want to make. You glue them together and you literally cut them out in circles. It's a machine that fits on your lathe bed. I can't tell you the name of it offhand, but I saw this down in Arizona last winter. And it makes some gorgeous bowls. I mean, it isn't a true turning because you never touch a tool to it except sanding. You cut them off and you glue them together. And the way they come off that machine, they're cut at an angle so they stack.
With the ringmaster?
There you go. And it's really neat. It makes some beautiful stuff. I mean, you never know what the design's going to be like depending on the arrangement of your color here and stuff like that. But each one of those is cut through at about 3/5 of an inch thick, I think, most of them. Each set of different thicknesses, and then you stack them on top of each other and glue them. And then you have to do a heck of a lot of sanding. But they come down to probably 3/16 thick or something, just depending on how far you want to sand it down. But anyway, that one was one that went south on me. And I kept this bottom, but you don't turn them down all the way, because depending on the size you want your bait. So anyway, I just started out with this, but the rest of it is just open molded, glued together in 12 pieces.